And let me welcome everybody. This is the launch, let's call it the launch of the National Action Task Force, which is soon to be a national entity to be reckoned with if we all do our jobs. What I'm going to do here this evening with you and your feedback and input is to lay out a very simple plan of action for all of those who have expressed an interest in starting a local chapter. And we'll be covering some other items as well. But this is where we're at. We're at the point now as a national organization that we're looking for patriotic Americans to pick up the banner and get active in their local area. This is where we can win, in the local community. Grassroots, stopping communism in its tracks. And folks, let me tell you, I hear sometimes that people say, oh, I don't want to stand up. I'm afraid I could get slapped down, targeted, harassed, my life be interrupted. Well, if you don't already know it, and I'm sure many of you do, sitting on your ass doing nothing is a sure way to have your life shredded. Folks, you need to understand the Satanists, the globalists, the communists, they're coming after you. You know about the vaccines. You know about the chemtrails. You know about big pharma. You know about the lockdowns. You know about corruption in the courts. Just today, I saw a video of a state assemblywoman in the state assembly, the state legislature for Michigan, putting out a message on Facebook saying, to all you Trumpers, you better sit down and shut up and take what we give you. She didn't say those words, but that was the effect of it. Do not interfere in what we are doing. She knows very well what they are doing with the vote. It's an attempted coup with international interference. It's treason, punishable by death. But here's what she said. You Trumpers, you just need to allow us to continue what we're doing. And I'm paraphrasing. And she says, to you soldiers, and she's talking BLM, Antifa, and the like. She says, to you soldiers, you know what to do. And do it well. She was putting up the green flag for anything goes. And so what happens? What happened last night? Someone was very open about his support of the president. His house was firebombed. While he was upstairs with his girlfriend, his living room and kitchen exploded. This is what she was talking about. They're coming for you, folks. They are coming for you. And I'm going to presume that you understand that, but I just want to accentuate that point so we all understand that doing nothing is not an option unless you opt for suicide, defeat, humiliation, servitude. If that's what you opt for, then you need to do nothing. I highly encourage you to look up Scott McKay. We have one of his videos up on our website, The Tipping Point Radio. Look him up. You'll get a lot of good information. military intelligence officer, very eloquent, very articulate, much more so than I, and very, very well informed. I highly encourage you to tap into that resource of information so you can get a clear picture of what's really going on. So bottom line, we as Americans and freedom fighters in Canada, UK, New Zealand, Australia, around the world, we are on the verge of being consumed by communism, which will absolutely destroy your way of life and make the future for your children an absolute living hell. That's what we're facing. And so I point this out, and I take the time to express this for the simple reason that we are not in a position to take our duties as freedom lovers, Americans, as the case may be for most of us. We cannot take that lightly. We have a responsibility. The future of the world rests on our shoulders. Trump cannot drain the swamp all by himself. The swamp is so deep, so vast, so penetrated down to the local level. And if if you've dealt with the local courts, with the local county recorder, with the local city council, these people, many of them, are communists who have infiltrated and taken over our system of government, our way of life. We've already been taken over. And so it's up to us. Do we lay down and allow this to happen? Or do we stand up? Do we stand on the plank of righteousness? Do we stand on the law? Do we stand on the Constitution? Do we stand on God's mercy and grace for those who will make a stand and reclaim the territory that we have abdicated through our own apathy and disinterest over the last 50 to 70 years or more? Okay? So that's why we are here tonight, to gather those around us who understand the gravity of the situation that we're in right now, and to make a proactive plan to push back tyranny on the local level. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. How will the National Action Task Force effect any kind of change and make an impact to save businesses from going out of business with the lockdowns? That's probably the number one priority right now. The globalists want to destroy the global economy, put us all on universal basic income, dependent on the government for our survival, a meager survival, where you're not entitled to private property, you're not entitled to profits. That all belongs to the state. So again, I'm not going to go into that. That's another rabbit trail that we don't have time for tonight, but that's where we're headed if we don't head this thing off at the pass, okay? So let's get into it. Let's get into it. And tonight I'm going to try to keep an eye on the comments in the chat and try to address those as we go along, which I've been remiss in presentations past. Okay, so I'll try and keep an eye on that and keep up to date with your comments and questions. So with that, let me go ahead. I've got a short presentation of about 9 or 10 slides. This is the plan that we want to effect to start local chapters of the National Action Task Force in your area. We've had great response to folks who are interested in starting a local chapter or supporting one. Maybe they don't feel like they're in a position to take charge and take the bull by the horns and make things happen, and that's great. We all have a role to play. We all have a role to play, whatever that might be, in leadership, in support, administration, social media, copywriting, flyers, stickers. I mean, we run the gamut. We've got a lot of things for people to do. Okay? So let's get into it. All right. So here we are tonight talking about reclaiming our freedom for our future. And that's really what it comes down to. It's do or die. You know, the globalists, they understand if we succeed in draining the swamp, it's do or die for them. They will do anything at this point. They're out in the open. They're not hiding anymore. They know that if they lose, they're going to Gitmo to spend their final moments hooded in front of a wall. You know what I'm talking about. That's what it's coming to. And that's the level of desperation that these evil minions are in right now. Okay? So don't think that just because you keep your head down and don't make a voice of yourself, don't think that that's going to save you. All right? This is the time for patriots to stand up, to take risks. Yes, there will be casualties, but you know what? If you do nothing, you will for sure be a casualty. All right? That's the point I've made before. So let's move on. All right. First off, I want our local chapter leaders and supporters, everyone involved with the National Action Task Force, to take an oath. Okay? Let me just go through this first so we understand what's in it. And then you can decide if this suits you, then we'll take the oath together. If this does not suit you for any reason, then you will be politely invited to leave, because what we'll be talking about henceforth will really not apply to you if you're not willing to make this commitment. Okay, so let's just go through that. Okay, I, Marcus, a man upon the land, living under divine providence with the sole and exclusive jurisdiction of our Creator. In other words, this is who we serve. This is where our allegiance goes. First and foremost is to our Creator. We are subservient to Him and no one else in terms of priority, okay? Do solemnly affirm. Some of us don't like to swear. That's a biblical fact. Affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America. Notice the capitalization here. Constitution is lowercase. Of the United, lowercase u, States of America. When the United is capitalized, United States of America becomes a pronoun or a noun identifying a thing. Okay? When United is lowercase, it becomes an adjective describing the states of America, where supremacy in law resides. The states created the federal government, and the federal government is subservient to the states. Okay? So, some little subtleties there that have a big impact. All right? I will defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the seat of Private Attorney General for my court. Let me explain that. When one takes an office is typically that of a corporate entity. A seat is a position of authority. Okay, so we will take a seat, not an office, of Private Attorney General. Now, in the statutory world, Private Attorney General is typically, in common usage, an attorney who takes on a case for the benefit of the people at large. Okay? However, we're talking about a Private Attorney General for my court or your court as a man or woman upon the land, operating in the Republic, in common law. Your court follows you wherever you go. In other words, the rules that you operate by follow you wherever you go. You are the captain of the ship. Anyone who approaches you will abide by the rules of your court. And this is significant, as you'll see down the road as we start talking about jurisdictional issues, if you don't already understand that, and I presume many of you do. Okay, your court is the people's one Supreme Court of the county. This is a topic that was taught in amazing detail and with incredible substance, historical substance, by the Montana Freemen. We've got a couple videos available on that. Leroy Schweitzer, Dan Peterson, that whole group did some amazing work in teaching people about the one Supreme Court of the county. This is the Supreme Court for the people, and you can set your own court, okay? So this one Supreme Court of the county in, let's say you're in Michigan, okay? Michigan State, which is one of the several states among the Union of States in the Republic of the small United States of America. So help me God. Okay, so you understand the context that we're dealing with here is purely in common law, in the Republic, in your state, not the state of, which is a municipal corporation. So we've got some very important jurisdictional issues that we deal with here, okay? So I wanted to go over that and make sure you understand that and be clear. All right, so if we are to continue here this evening, it's important that we all take this oath, all right? So I'd like you all to say it aloud with me as we raise our right hand. This is the first step in being involved in the National Action Task Force, okay? Say it along with me. I, Mark Emery, as a man upon the land, living under divine providence, with the sole and exclusive jurisdiction of our Creator, do solemnly affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the seat of Private Attorney General for my court, the people's one Supreme Court of the county, in my state, one of the several states among the Union of States in the Republic of the United States of America. So help me God. All right. Now, those of you who proceed with us from this point on, I'll presume everyone has taken the oath, you've sworn to the oath or affirmed it, whatever your preference might be, and that this is the underlying duty and obligation that we have henceforth. Okay? So we've established that so far. Step number 2, all right, getting involved with the NATF. We need to get properly positioned for information and resources. We're going to have a lot of training, a lot of education, a lot of information, activity, events, emergencies. And so we need to be properly positioned to be in the flow of that information. So here's the first thing you need to do. Most of you have already done that. You've joined the mailing list. But just for your reference, as you're talking to other people, this is the bottom link right now. It's the bottom link on the join page at the website. Okay, just so you know where it is, and you can make an easy mental reference to that. Next, we get active in the Community Support Network. Okay, CSN, we refer to it as. CSN is a financial educational program. And included in this educational program is a 3x10 gifting program with a 3x10 matrix. Okay? We want our information to go viral. We want you to make referrals, and we understand that most people, because the way the system is set up, most people are dealing with economic hardship, okay? The gifting program that's included in this CSN educational program will help support you financially over time as your network grows, okay? Number 1, you've got access to 8 different communities dealing with cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, trading, gold, dealing in gold, business training, how to basically become more independent, job-free. We talk a lot about job-free income. If you really want to be free and independent, you've got to get rid of your job. You've got to start thinking in terms of being an entrepreneur and being independent economically. And this is the place to learn about doing that, okay? Now, you're going to make a donation of $25, not to NATF. You're going to make it to the person who you are assigned to, who is your sponsor, all right? And being a 3x10 matrix, as people come into NATF, as you make referrals and your referrals make referrals, it's a real simple scenario. We ask everyone to try to get, in whatever period of time, 3 referrals. Who get 3 is 9 on your second level. Who get 3, it's 27 on your third level. Who get 3, it's 81 on your third level, and so on. Okay, as time goes on, you will start receiving direct from the referrals in the network donations in the way that you want to receive them. You want to receive them in PayPal, you want to receive them in Bitcoin, you want an ACH bank transfer, you want a money order sent in the mail. However you want to receive that, that's entirely up to you, and it goes direct from person to person. There's no middleman handling the funds. There's no waiting for a check. When someone makes a donation, boom, it goes right to you. No delay, all right? Now, this is important because there's going to be expenses involved in doing the things that we need to do in NATF. Not only that, but most families are suffering right now, especially with the lockdowns, all right? So you're going to learn a whole lot more beyond the gifting program in terms of how to set up a business, how to do trading, how to make money work for you. You'll find out a lot about that on the website, okay? So use this link, bit.ly/NATF and get in the program, learn it, spend the time to learn about it because it's a high value for you. And as soon as you get your first referral using your referral link, you get your 25 bucks back. All right? So it's no money out of pocket for a huge education that people pay thousands of dollars for. And believe me, I know I've spent the money chasing some of these programs. You don't even want to know. Okay? So CSN is also supporting other worthy causes like the Food and Medicine Program for Venezuela. There are ministries that are being supported in CSN. A lot of good humanitarian causes are being supported by CSN. So it's a win-win situation. You can't lose. You can't go wrong. There's no way to lose on this deal. All right. So this is going to support NATF. All right. So that's your second step. Next, we have NATF National at locals.com. Locals.com is a Facebook alternative. It's a social media website. And here, there's a free option. There's also a subscriber option. This is where we're going to share a majority of our training and education for our members, our supporters, our chapter leaders, and so forth. Okay? So, at $4.95 a month, that's more than covered by what you'll be receiving in Community Support Network. Okay? So Community Support Network pays for that. So that's not even going to be out of pocket once you get started. Now, our thoughts are we need 100,000 members across the country at $4.95 a month. What does that do? That gives us about $500,000 per month to help with legal expenses, promotion, bringing crooked judges into the court of public opinion, helping people with bail bonds if they're getting arrested for living their life, for running their business, or whatever the case might be. Can you imagine what a well-funded organization could do in support of all of these local organizations that have been fledgling? Great ideas, great intentions, great heart, but no money, no political clout, no teeth. This is what the NATF is all about. And this is just one of many avenues that we have to generate the kind of funding that we need to be a force, to be able to stand behind you with authority, and you then being able to stand knowing that you've got some kind of a decent, well-funded professional organization behind you, and come what may. You stand for truth regardless of the consequences, and you've got backing. That's the idea here. So we need everybody to participate here, spread the word, help us grow accordingly, and this is where we will have much of our educational resources and instructions and be able to communicate amongst each other. Okay, that's a starting point for us. All right, so these are the first three things that everyone needs to do. We expect everyone to do these three steps. Okay, it's not asking much, and cumulatively it means a whole lot. So from there, we want to start a core team. We want you to start a core team in your local area, okay? And we've talked about getting on the mailing list. I've got that twice, don't I? Let me move on to the next one. Anyway, I didn't update this the way I should have, but the idea to start a core team is you start with, it might just be you. You may not have anybody to work with, but that's fine. Don't worry. We're going to show you how to build a team. And that team might start off with 2 or 3 people. That 2 or 3 people could grow to 10. That 10 could grow to 25 to 50 in short order. We're going to show you how to bring the community together under this concept, working with you, working with us, building a local organization with the backing of a national group so that we can have the best of both worlds in standing up for freedom. Okay? So we start with that. And right now, one of the biggest priorities that we have is dealing with businesses, helping businesses to stay open in this lockdown. How many businesses do you think are in your local area who are under threat of lockdown, at the same time are under threat of extinction, bankruptcy, ruin? The families, the employees, the owners, the investors on the verge of destitution because of these lockdowns. We've got to fight hard, and we can do it. We've got all the ammunition we need. It starts with education, okay? So we start a core team with you, and whatever small group you can start with, we'll work with you and show you how to bring people together so that before long, your group will consist of what this photo represents. Hundreds and thousands of people in your local community. Think of the political clout that that would have when these people come together to say, no, city council, no, mayor, no, governor, you are out of line. You are outside your lawful authority. You are rogue, and we will not comply. People are afraid to say that because they're alone. They don't want to say it alone. They get picked off. But when you're in a crowd, a group of tens of thousands of people, which is where we will be if we all do our job properly, the whole situation changes, doesn't it? Okay? So that's step number 3. We start a core team and we continue building it. And we'll show you exactly how to do that, talking to businesses, passing out flyers, social media, the whole works. Okay? This country is in the process of having a huge awakening. People are seeing what's going on. The enemy have exposed themselves. They're standing in the middle of the street for everyone to see. And so now is the time to gather the patriots and those who are fighting for survival, those who are fighting for freedom, and those who want to stand on the law and justice and maintain our country the way it's supposed to be, because we're on the verge of losing it. All right? So we start with a core team and we start building it from there. All right? One of the things we want to do is set up what I call Instacom, instant communications. Okay? We set up a WhatsApp or a Telegram group. And if you're starting a local area, you start the group, set it up. If it's you and one other guy, your group is you and one other guy or gal, okay? And start building it from there. What's this gonna do? Let's say you own a business. The city inspector comes in with a couple of police officers and wants to shut you down. for trying to live your life. That's a trespass. That's an absolute trespass against you, your property, your rights, and of course your rights are your property. And the people should not stand for that. Nobody can have their business shut down unless you have perhaps a liquor license and you're selling alcohol to minors or violating the law in some way. Staying open is not violating the law. And if you're not already aware, we need to put you in touch with Peggy Hall. She has, with the healthyamerican.org, you need to go there. If you haven't been there already, write that down, thehealthyamerican.org. She has resources up one side and down the other. Videos, training for businesses to stay open. We don't need to duplicate what she's already doing. We want to add to it. All right, but back on point, if you have a business and you're being trespassed upon by interlopers, you can get on this Telegram group, and let's say you've got, 150 people in the local group on that group. You say, hey, you put out a message. I'm under attack. I need witnesses now. Everybody in the area who's able, 15, 20, 25, 30 people, is on the scene within minutes, helping you defend your right to live your life without interference. You see how valuable that could be? Maybe you're in a roadside stop. You handle yourself properly. The officer doesn't. You need witnesses. Hey, I have an emergency. This is my location. Get here quick. All of a sudden, you've got 3 or 4 people there with their cell phone videos going. You've got witnesses. Big part of what we're doing is education. All right, so there's going to be a lot of questions. What do I do in this situation? What is this all about? What are my rights? What are my limitations? People can share information on the group, make announcements. Maybe there's a meeting somewhere. Maybe there's a new video that people need to see for educational purposes. That can be shared, okay? We're going to be cooperating whenever and wherever possible with the sheriff. We want to work with the sheriff, support the sheriff if he's willing to support his oath of office and the Constitution, which would then include the people that have voted him into office. All right? We could provide a way of support for him in any number of ways. Okay? Maybe there are demonstrations going on, peaceful demonstrations at the state capitol, at City Hall, at the city council. Maybe they've made a terrible decision or they're in process of making some decision, and you want them to know that the people are watching them. All right? So there's a number of ways that this Instacom group can be used. We don't need a special app. The apps are already out there. Okay? So this is something you can do for instant communications, to gather support and witnesses quickly, and to share information. All right? There's going to be plenty of information to share, let me tell you. Okay? So then we come to flyers and window stickers. We have one lady working with the Constitutional Law Group, Donna. She's got some flyers made up for business owners, advising them of their rights and what the Supreme Court has to say about some of those rights, so that they don't get buffaloed and bullied into giving up those rights if someone comes into their business trying to bully them in one way, shape, or form or another. So we can put these flyers together. You can be busy sharing these with businesses in your local area, letting them know that they have support, they have rights, they have a place to go to learn about these things, how they can stay in business, how they can stand up to unlawful tyranny. And the more you do this, the more you're going to start creating a well-knit fabric in the community of people coming together and coming into your local group. So this is one way you can build your local network. Get them in the Instacom situation. Have a meeting from time to time, Zoom or physical, however necessary. Here's a sample idea of what a window sticker might look like for that business owner to put in the front window of their business. As NATF becomes recognized worldwide, this will mean something. This will start to create a national identity. It's kind of like having a sticker in the window of your car of your insurance company. Yeah, I'm backed up by, ASA Insurance. All right. The business here is backed up by the NATF. That might send a signal to somebody. We can put the adhesive on the front side of this as a window sticker. We can put the adhesive on the back side to be a bumper sticker. Might this have some impact when a patrol officer has you pulled over on the side of the road? I don't know. Might put him on notice. At some point in time, it certainly will, as we gain notoriety, right? So these are things that we can do. Moving on to number 6, we want to develop community relations. We want to work with the offices of political power in the area. We want to show up for the meetings. We want to be involved in the meetings. We want to voice our opinion in the meetings. We might want to advise them of what they may or may not do based on the circumstances in a friendly and peaceful manner. Okay, we don't want to be confrontational with anybody. We just want peace. That's all we're looking for. And we want to enlist the cooperation of the sheriffs, of the local police. Let the city council know what the score is. Same thing with county commissioners, Chamber of Commerce, and we can go right on down the list. How many community organizations are there that we can get involved in to help spread knowledge, education, and an understanding of the law, so that people are not just giving up their rights, not knowing what else to do. And that's typically what happens. A lack of education puts people in a position where they voluntarily give up their rights just based on fear and intimidation. They don't know any better. Well, that's what I was told to do or else, so I guess I better do it. And that's how tyrants get away with murder. All right? So this is going to be an important part of your local chapter. Now, we're going to have our own ID. This is not available yet, so don't be asking. But you know how the IRS, the FBI, the BATF, they all run around in these blue windbreakers with the bright yellow letters across the back, right? Now, this one's a very poor rendition. I'm not a graphic artist, but you get the idea. In fact, I've had experience with something similar to this years ago. I won't get into it now for brevity, but we had a whole lot of fun getting people's attention with a group called the Civil Rights Task Force. Frank Pepper out of Washington State started a group, and really this is nothing more than a takeoff of what I learned working with Frank. in the 90s. We'll have our own badges. All right. You will be, once you're qualified, able to carry a badge. Remember, you're a law enforcement officer as a private attorney general for your own court. You're not impersonating an officer for the state or municipality. No, you are your own private entity. You represent your private entity. That's not impersonation. You're not pretending to be someone else. You are who you are. And you do have authority as a private attorney general. And that's the position that we're taking. We are the ones who have authority. We operate within the law, God's law, universal law. And so long as that's not in conflict with someone else's law, everything is fine. But you never know what could happen, so we have to be prepared for everything. But this will represent our authority. And believe you me, we can have all kinds of fun with this. Talk about that at another time. Now, education really is the key to everything. People need to know what their rights are, what the limits are for peace officers, for officials. Many of these officials are so used to getting away with whatever they want to do, nobody ever challenges them, that they just run roughshod over people because people don't know where to draw the line. They don't know how to defend themselves. This has to change. There is a proper lawful operation for what officials and officers have to do. We respect that. We want to help them. We want to cooperate with them. We're not here to create conflict. Yet, at the same time, we are here to defend our rights, our property from abuse and excessive use of authority, which in fact is not authority at all. Okay? So education is going to play a key role. In fact, we've already got videos up on the website that will teach you, show you examples of ways you might communicate with an officer on a roadside stop. I think it's called boot camp training. Go there. I think you'll appreciate that if you haven't seen that already. Okay? So this is what must happen with the general population. We're going to be actively involved in providing this level of education so that people know how to properly handle themselves. And as such, those who would be tyrants might start to learn that there's a limit as to what they can or cannot do. Okay? Highly important. All right. So, insofar as that goes, really the ultimate objective is to show people how to go private, how to move from the public side to the private side. If these businesses were operating on the private side and not on the public side, they wouldn't be having the problems that they're having with these orders to shut down. I've heard of police officers coming in to a business where the owner has refused to shut down, and they start barricading the entryway. That's absolute trespass, among many other things. Okay? If we're operating in the private, we're operating in a different jurisdiction, where many of the minions who want to assert control over us do not have the authority. They do not have the jurisdiction. All right, so this is really an integral part of the educational process that must go on. And these are areas that we'll be getting into. Okay? This has a lot to do with churches being able to worship freely. I get so disappointed and so frustrated hearing stories about these churches, which are set up as corporate entities, which of course is a creature of the state, 501c3 tax exemption status with the IRS, which basically means they are neutered. They're not able to speak freely on all subjects which relate to the gospel. They're required to be muted on political issues. And these churches need to learn to come out of Babylon, because they're in Babylon. They're speaking with a forked tongue. Their gospel is watered down, and they're not serving God perhaps the way they think they are. And so we've got quite a bit of information on that score, helping churches worship freely without restriction, without interference. The state has no interest, legally or otherwise, in what a properly organized church might be involved in. But if you're not properly organized, you are a creature of the state. Wake up, people. Pastors, please listen. Look into this. Okay? So we need to understand the government is for the public, and nobody can infringe on the private. And isn't that where you want to be? Isn't that where you'd like to be? Having the position that you're simply outside the jurisdiction and no one has authority to infringe upon you, to trespass upon you, to order you what to do, to control your life, to steal your property, what you thought was your property, which in fact is not. You've worked for it, but guess who claims it? You know, you remember the statement Obama said several years ago. You didn't build that. That business, you didn't build that. That's the attitude many of these people have. And obviously that needs to be corrected. Okay? So this is going to be an integral part of the educational process. And people need to be engaged to start learning these things, learn how to operate in the private. Okay? So I'm just touching on these subjects. We can get pretty deep on some of these. We're not going to do that tonight. Those are the primary steps that we're going to be looking at in dealing with helping you set up a local chapter, or helping you to support a local chapter, whatever the case might be, based on your own personal preferences. Okay? So with that, let me deal with some questions if you want to put them in the chat. And I was actually able to do that in less than an hour. Longer than I thought, but it's still less than an hour. Okay. Yes, Les, it is time to stand. There is no other option. You either stand now or you're a coward, and you're part of the problem. That's the way I see it. If you don't take a stand for freedom and liberty, help these business owners defend their businesses, their livelihoods, and you need them to have your standard of living. Think of your community. If you don't have any businesses to go to buy what you need, to have some level of entertainment or recreation or whatever the case is. Okay? Yeah, Peggy Hall is at thehealthyamerican.org. Thehealthyamerican.org. Be sure to go there, Paul. All right. Other comments or questions? You guys are kind of quiet tonight. We're going to save this presentation for posterity. Yes, it is recorded. We want to share it far and wide. I'll make it available, and I will ask you to share it with those who you feel it might be appropriate for. We want to be somewhat close to the vest because we know there are trolls out there, infiltrators, and we fully expect that we'll have our share, and that's fine. We do want to be careful, be alert, sniff some of these people out if they don't have good intentions, and don't let them in. Don't let them in if you have any opportunity to do that. Okay, but we operate under divine providence. The truth will prevail, regardless of who wants to learn about the law, who wants to see what's going on. Like I said, I mean, it doesn't matter if, as far as the way I see it, I'm not afraid of going public or being out in the open. I operate with divine providence. God protects me. Psalm 91. And I'm coming at these evil SOBs with all guns a-blazing. Okay? Because I'm not going down the way they want to take us down. It's already well in process. The plan has been there for dozens of years. It's being implemented right now. The battle is being waged. You either stand up and fight for freedom now, or just surrender and just give it up automatically. That's where we're at. So there we go. Looking at some comments here. Yeah, Scott's saying they got a sheriff who's not a constitutional sheriff. Okay, so you need to get your group together. You need to get your group of 250,000 in your county, or whatever the number is going to be, and get him the hell out of there. So you need to start a campaign to get rid of that sheriff, expose him, shine a light on him, and start a campaign. Start a campaign of public awareness. Get him out. That's what you need to do. If you don't have a cooperative sheriff, if you don't have a constitutional sheriff, you need to do everything in your power to get rid of him, so that the next guy that gets elected will know why he got the boot and take a different approach to support the people who elected him. That's what we do. So, John, if Dade County has no sheriff, what do they have as a law enforcement officer? Who's the highest law enforcement officer in the county? Well, police chief would be municipal. That's for a city. There's got to be some county-wide officer. You'd have to look into that, because that's very strange. I do know, I think it's in New Hampshire, they have the same thing. They don't have counties anymore. And so they don't have a county sheriff. This is how far the New World Order has gotten. They've dissolved the Republican form of government, and everything is corporate now. And so you'll need to do some research to find out how your local area actually works. All right. So give me a sign in the chat. Who's willing to start a chapter in your local area and work with us? Andre, thank you. I see Andre raised his hand. Maybe you want to say something, huh, Andre? Okay, Dana. Yeah, that's what we got to do. We have to start talking this up. We got to bring people to the website, get them on the mailing list. We need to get some flyers going. We need to help you get some flyers out to the local business people. Start bringing the business people in because they're under immediate threat right now with these lockdowns in most places. Restaurants, bars, gyms. Do a little bit of research as to which types of businesses are being discriminated against. And that's exactly what it is. It's discrimination. We can bring discrimination lawsuits. So that's where we need to start. Small business. Scott's asking, does the 495, would we get the knowledge we need to go after these people? Basically, yes, we're going to put, that's going to be our repository for information, at least to start with. And as that information starts to get more voluminous, we'll probably have a backup system to that. But yeah, that's the starting point, okay? So we want folks to get on locals.com, build up a nice group there. And that's going to help fund our organization so we can do things to support you. All right, so that's coming back to you. In terms of organizational structure, we have an unincorporated business trust, the NATF. It's not yet been formalized, but it will be imminently. We have a steering committee of about 9 individuals who meet to try to create the proper infrastructure so that it benefits everyone and that we're able to handle the needs that come in. So that 9-member steering committee, we have deliberately kept that small so it's manageable, so we can administer it in the proper way. So please don't be offended if you haven't been invited into that. Right now, we're doing really what's most important tonight. We need to get local chapters started. We need your chapter to grow, 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 and grow. We need to create activity, awareness, public education, build the brand identity so people know about NATF. There's a level of instant recognition when they see a logo or the name, and a certain level of respect. We'll be operating with high professional standards. All right, we don't want any slouches, representing NATF in any way. This is a highly professional organization with high standards, high ethics. We operate at all times with respect for other people. We operate according to the law, and we want to put ourselves in a position which is really unassailable, okay? So we'll be putting together some flyers for you for local businesses. We'll get that put together in the locals.com group in the next few days. So get set up properly there. And honestly, I expected a much greater turnout tonight than what we have, but it doesn't matter because you folks are committed, and I know that with our combined efforts, we'll be growing in no time flat. Looking at Dana's comment here, hasn't heard back from an email to a business. Yeah, emails oftentimes are difficult to get a response to, especially if they don't know you. People are deluged with emails. It really takes just kind of going out, hitting the street with a handful of flyers, and just getting out and talking to people face to face. That's what it takes. Hopefully, you can do it without a damn mask on. Things drive me crazy. Can't breathe. So again, make sure you're plugged in with Peggy Hall at thehealthyamerican.org. She has a wealth of resources, videos, education, motivation, really some good stuff. And as you probably heard me say before, NATF does not need to be the lead dog in any particular team. We're more than happy to support others in what they're doing. We are collaborating with as many other groups and organizations as we possibly can, helping them do what they do better, asking them to help us do what we do. This is a time for us to be locking arms. This is not a time for disputes or issues over ego or turf or who gets credit or anything else. We're not interested in that. Yes, we want to establish a national identity. That only makes sense. Okay, when there's 15,000 individual little groups out there, they each have their own name, but no one knows who the hell they are, and they don't have any money behind them, no political might behind them. What good does that do? Does no good. So you see the value in creating a single identity that's recognizable nationwide, and we're more than happy to support other groups doing what they do. They can do it under their own banner. So if we get the NATF name and logo out there, that's going to mean something. That's going to command some respect. All right, so we're just beginning. This is just the very beginning, but with your commitment, there's nothing to stop us. There's nothing to stop us. Make a note, go to the website, look at the video from Scott McKay. I want you to tap into his information, the Tipping Point Radio. You'll find him on YouTube. And he's putting together an international organization called the Unity Bridge, which we're tapping into as well. So again, we're supporting other groups. We're coming together wherever we can to create some form of critical mass on a political level, on an awareness level, so that together we can actually have some impact in putting these evil minions back in their box. Okay? All right, so Scott's asking, can we learn as much with the NATF in regards to training versus the Lighthouse Law Club? The Lighthouse Law Club has a broad base of knowledge, much more than the NATF will have. The NATF will be more specifically focused on the issues that are arising in the street, primarily the lockdowns, the masks, the vaccines, legal oppression. The NATF is, we already have a very proficient legal team. They are not attorneys. We will not be able to represent people. We will be in a position to provide support, strategic support and guidance, analysis of a particular case, and assistance in helping folks deal with that case. We've got the tools necessary if you're being attacked or hauled into court. we've got the tools to basically knock that case out of court and get it dismissed, so you never even have to show up, hopefully, in most cases. Okay, so we're working to defend people from the corruption of the court system, staying out of the court system, and that's where the private versus the public comes into play. Okay, so the NATF is more specifically geared towards helping people defend themselves and then going on the offense against violators to try to get recompense for damages. Okay, the Lighthouse has a broad base of information on so many topics, so they're really not at all similar in that regard. Okay, Lighthouse is highly recommended if you really want to expand your knowledge base. NATF is more geared for the guy on the street who's dealing with issues right now. Businesses, individuals, the lockdowns, the masks, court issues, that kind of thing. Okay. All right. Other comments or questions? We'll wrap it up. Doing a quick browse here. All right, I think we covered most of those so far. All right, so what's the next step? I've got this presentation I did tonight. In fact, let me do it right now. I'm gonna stop the recording, but hold on.